Day 7 of 30. Just breathe, and if you're breathing, you still have options. 30 days for the rest of your life. Day 7. 7 days. Gratitude, connection, dogs, your village, mistakes. Sitting with it. We've spent 6 days talking about the mind. Today, we're going underneath it. Before philosophy. Before language. Before the story you're telling yourself about yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. There is something happening right now. You probably weren't thinking about it until you read this sentence. You're breathing in, out, again. You've done it thousands of times today without asking. Your body knew what to do. And when everything else becomes too complicated, there is something almost absurdly powerful about returning to the first thing. Just breathe. The first thing and the last thing. Before you had a résumé, you breathed. Before you had money, you breathed. Before you knew success, failure, love, betrayal, war, marriage, divorce, politics, religion, markets, status, or fear, you breathed. Before you understood the world, your body already knew one rule. Keep going. Breath is evidence, not philosophy, not positive thinking. Evidence. You're here. Right now. The shadow can tell you yesterday destroyed everything. Breath. The shadow can tell you tomorrow's impossible. Breath. The shadow can tell you the storm is too large. Breath. Your lungs respond. We're still here. That means the story isn't finished. The bridge between body and mind. Most of the machinery keeping you alive runs without permission. You don't consciously tell your heart to beat. You don't manage digestion molecule by molecule. But breathing is different. It runs automatically, and you can deliberately influence it. Think about that. Breath is a bridge between the automatic body and the conscious mind. When danger appears, breathing changes. Fast, shallow, ready. Your sympathetic nervous system prepares you to fight, flee, or react. Useful. If something is actually trying to kill you, we don't need enlightenment. Move. But the human mind can activate the same alarm while you're sitting completely still. An email, a memory, a phone call, a thought, a conversation that hasn't happened yet. The body hears. Threat. Heart rate climbs. Muscles tighten. Breathing changes. Attention narrows. Now you're trying to solve a complicated human problem using a nervous system preparing to fight a tiger. Not ideal. So breathe deliberately. In, out. Slow it down. The body begins receiving a different signal. Maybe we aren't dying. Parasympathetic regulation gets a vote again. And suddenly, there is space between stimulus and response. Inside that space is something incredibly valuable. Choice. BJJ knows this. Anyone who has spent time grappling understands immediately. You're underneath somebody. Pressure. Chest compressed, arm trapped. You can't move the way you want. Your brain gives you the most natural instruction imaginable. Panic. So the beginner explodes. Every muscle fires. Energy disappears. Breathing gets worse. The opponent feels it. 30 seconds later, you're exhausted. Nothing improved. You just burned the fuel you needed to escape. Then eventually you learn. Breathe, frame, make space, think, move, and you discover something that applies far beyond the mat. Panic spends resources without solving the problem. The person who controls their breathing can think while the other person reacts. That's an advantage. In BJJ, in fighting and running, under a barbell, during competition. In an argument, in business, during bad news, and in life. The problem may still be there, but now you are there too. The storm wants your breath. When the storm gets big enough, the mind starts trying to solve everything simultaneously. The relationship, the money, the kids, the job, the future, the past, the thing you regret, the thing that might happen, the thing somebody said, the thing nobody said. 10 problems, 20 possible outcomes, one nervous system, and no wonder you're overwhelmed. You're trying to fight every battle at once. Stop. You don't need to solve your entire life right now. You need to solve this moment. Sometimes this moment requires exactly one thing: breathe. Make it to the next RV. There are times in life when looking at the entire road is useless, sometimes dangerous. Anyone who has operated long enough understands checkpoints. You don't mentally carry the entire mission every second. Get to the next point, the next RV, then reassess. Life works the same way. Maybe today is too heavy to think about next year. Fine. Don't. Make it to the next meal and then eat. Make it to the next phone call. Then make the call, make it to sunset, then watch it. Make it to bedtime, then sleep. Make it to tomorrow morning, then stand up. And when even that feels too far away, make it to the next breath. That's it. In and out. Next RV reached. Now again. Your body talks to your mind. We tend to imagine the relationship going one direction. Mind tells body what to do. But the body talks back, constantly. Posture, heart rate, muscle tension, movement, sleep, breathing. All of it becomes information the brain uses to interpret what is happening. This matters because emotional regulation isn't purely philosophical.
Sometimes you cannot think your way out of a state your physiology helped create.
You need to work from the other direction. Body first, breath first, then thought. Breathing isn't magic. It isn't a cure for everything. It's a regulator. A way to create enough space for higher-order thinking to come back online. Enough space to stop reacting and start choosing. Enough space to ask, what actually needs to happen next? The Matrix loves yesterday and tomorrow. The shadow has two favorite places, yesterday and tomorrow. Yesterday gives it regret. Tomorrow gives it fear. The present is harder. Because right now, in this exact second, many of the catastrophes your mind is simulating are not actually occurring. Maybe the problem is real. Maybe tomorrow really will be difficult. But tomorrow isn't happening right now. This breath is. That's why breath is an anchor to reality. The Matrix says, what if? Breath says, here. The shadow says, remember? Breath says, now. Fear says, everything. Breath says, one thing. In, out, reality. Emotional control is not emotional suppression. Controlling yourself does not mean feeling nothing. That's not strength. That's numbness. Fear exists. Anger exists. Grief exists. Anxiety exists. Love exists. The goal isn't to eliminate emotion. The goal is to stop every emotion from immediately becoming an order. Anger says attack. Breathe. Fear says run. Breathe. Shame says hide. Breathe. Grief says nothing will ever be okay again. Breathe. Not because breathing magically disproves the feeling, because it gives you a moment to decide whether the feeling deserves control of the vehicle. That's emotional regulation. Feel it without immediately becoming it. If you can breathe, you can work the problem. Notice the wording. Not, if you can breathe, everything's fine. Sometimes everything is absolutely not fine. That's bullshit optimism. The storm may be real. The loss may be real. The problem may be enormous. But if you can breathe, there is still a next action available. Maybe tiny. Good. Take it. Breathe. Make the call. Breathe. Open the letter. Breathe. Tell the truth. Breathe. Ask for help. Breathe. Apologize and breathe. Walk away. Breathe. Start again. You don't have to conquer the mountain while standing at the bottom. Find the next handhold. The breath between two people. Think about an argument, two nervous systems escalating simultaneously. One voice gets louder, the other follows. Breathing accelerates. Language gets sharper. Nobody is listening anymore. Two human beings who may actually love each other become temporary threat detection systems. Now imagine one person catches it. Breath. Pause. Lower the temperature. Listen. That doesn't mean surrender. It means refusing to let physiology make the decision. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is simply the first person who stops escalating. That's power, not domination, control. You've been doing this your entire life. Here's the beautiful part. You don't need to learn how to breathe. You came equipped. You've been practicing since the moment you arrived. Through every victory, every loss, every heartbreak, every mistake, every funeral, every celebration, every terrible day, every best day. Breath after breath after breath, your body carried you through all of it. Think about how many moments you once believed you could never survive. You survived every single one that brought you here. Not all at once, moment by moment. Sometimes day by day, sometimes minute by minute, sometimes breath by breath. Day 7, the message. Today is intentionally simple. No giant philosophical assignment. No rebuilding your entire life. Just notice your breath. When the world speeds up, slow it down. When anger rises, breathe before speaking. When fear starts predicting the future, breathe before believing it. When the shadow drags you backward, breathe yourself into now. When you're training, breathe. When you're running, breathe. When somebody has you crushed underneath them on the mat, breathe. When the phone rings with news you don't want, breathe. When the clouds roll in, breathe. When everything feels like it needs to be solved immediately, remember, it doesn't. Get to the next RV, the next meal, the next conversation, the next sunset, the next morning. And if all of those seem too far away, get to the next breath. Then reassess, you're still here. That's useful information. 30 days for the rest of your life. Day 1, gratitude. Notice what remains. Day 2, just like you. Notice who remains. Day 3, dogs. Notice who needs you. Day 4. Who's there when the music stops? Notice who stands in the rain. Day 5. Mistake. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're okay. Day 6. Sit with it. Stop running from what you already know. Day 7. Just breathe. Return to the thing that has carried you through all of it. 1 week. Maybe your life isn't fixed. Good. That was never the promise. We're learning how to operate when it isn't. Gratitude when the mind sees only loss. Connection when the shadow says you're alone. Love when it says you don't matter. A village when the music stops. Self-forgiveness when you confuse mistakes with identity. Truth when avoidance disguises itself as peace. And now breath when the storm gets too loud. You don't need every answer today. You don't need to know where the entire road goes. You need enough control to reach the next point. In, out, again. The storm can scream. The shadow can talk. Tomorrow can wait. Right now, there is only this breath, then the next one. As long as that continues, there is another move available. Another frame. Another step. Another phone call. Another sunrise. Another chance. If you can breathe, you can work the problem. And if you're breathing right now, it's a pretty fucking great day. Just breathe. ICT. The real war is within. Ideas are bulletproof.